Hey guys, let's get more news from Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave your like. Justin Fields to the Steelers? The Chicago Bears are in the rare position to choose between two attractive options at quarterback as they look ahead to the 2024 NFL season. On one side of the coin, they can continue to build around recent first-round pick Justin Fields, who has shown flashes of brilliance and continued improvement over his 3 seasons in Chicago. On the other, they could use the number 1 pick in the 2024 NFL Draft on USC's Caleb Williams, and trade Fields to another QB-needy team for additional draft resources with which they can add more talent around their new franchise passer. If the Bears take the latter route, where could Fields land? SI's Albert Breer was recently asked about the possibility of Fields being a good fit for the Pittsburgh Steelers and new offensive coordinator Arthur Smith. In his time as an offensive coach with the Tennessee Titans, Smith was with Jake Locker, Marcus Mariota, and Ryan Tannehill. With the Atlanta Falcons, the coach had Matt Ryan, Mariota, and Desmond Ridder. So he's built an offense over the years that's adaptable to whatever type of quarterback he happens to have. Then, there's this: Mike Tomlin is as wired into Ohio State as any coach in the NFL, save for the guys, like Mike Vrabel, who actually played there. So he's gonna get the goods on Fields, and know what needs to be done to get the most out of him. Add it up, and I actually think the Pittsburgh Steelers are the ideal landing spot for Fields, where he'd enter into a competition with Kenny Pickett, plus have an improving offensive line and talented group of skill players around him. I think it'd work for the Steelers, too, giving them 2 shots at finding a long-term answer, rather than just one, at the position. It's hard to argue with the fit in Pittsburgh for Fields, and the Steelers obviously need an upgrade at quarterback. Despite having spent a first-round pick on Kenny Pickett just 2 years ago, the hometown product has struggled with injuries, and has rarely looked like a serviceable starter even when healthy. If the price is right, it wouldn't be surprising to see the Steelers swing a pre-draft deal with Chicago, giving Fields a fresh start with a team that could play to his strengths while finally taking their offense to a new level. Could Ryan Tannehill land with the Steelers? That's the first name I look to. The Pittsburgh Steelers still have a bit of a mystery in terms of their quarterback position. If they choose to still start Kenny Pickett, they will need a viable backup in case Pickett is injured or can't cut it. The Steelers have just hired Arthur Smith as offensive coordinator, and Smith has plenty of familiarity with Ryan Tannehill, who is now a free agent. Mark Bergen of Believe in Steelers discusses the possibility that Tannehill could land with Pittsburgh. Whoever you bring in, whether it's competition or whether you roll with Kenny Pickett as the starter, the backup role is going to be very important at the quarterback position. The first name I look to, considering that you bring in Arthur Smith, is his familiarity with Ryan Tannehill, who is a free agent. So, that's the first name I look at from a free agent standpoint. Is if you're not able to bring Mason Rudolph back, that is a possibility for Pittsburgh. Tannehill has proven that his status as a starter is not the best bet any longer, but he could and would be a huge backup. The Steelers might not be able to keep Mason Rudolph simply for how he played in the 2023 season. As much as fans want the QB position to be locked in, luck has not been on the Steelers' side. Pickett might be the starter, but having a safety net like Tannehill would be smart at this juncture. Rudolph amassed 719 yards and 3 TDs, which could fetch him something along a 2-year deal with a team willing to pay more for his services. The Steelers would just have to pivot and land someone like Tannehill, who has deep connections to new OC Smith. Tannehill and Smith worked together for the 2019 and 2020 seasons. Steelers open to more business with pending free agent CB. The Pittsburgh Steelers have significant questions at cornerback entering the 2024 offseason. One of those questions is whether or not to re-sign slot cornerback Shandon Sullivan. But in an interview with Steelers Takeaways Ron Lippock, Sullivan revealed Pittsburgh's plan is to try and bring back the veteran nickel back for 2024. The team told me before I left that they would like to do more business with me, Sullivan told Lippock. But who knows? We know how the business of the NFL can be. But no stress, I know I'll end up playing somewhere. Sullivan started 2 games while appearing in all 17 regular season contests for the Steelers in 2023. He posted 22 combined tackles, including 1 tackle for loss, and 6 pass defenses. Sullivan also had 1 interception and 1 forced fumble. Last offseason, he signed a 1-year deal worth about $1.23 million to come to Pittsburgh. He is set to test free agency again in March. Sullivan wasn't spectacular with the Steelers, but it's hard to claim he wouldn't be worth another $1.23 million on a 1-year contract if he is willing to take the same amount of money as last year. Sullivan played less than half the amount of snaps with the Steelers that he did with the Minnesota Vikings in 2022. He didn't play particularly well with limited chances early in the season either. However, Sullivan adapted to the role and improved as the season went. In 6 of the final 10 regular season games, he posted a Pro Football Focus player grade of 65 or better, out of 100. I felt like I did the most with the opportunities one had. I didn't play as many snaps as I'm used to, that's just how it ended up schematically, Sullivan told Lipok. But I took advantage of the opportunities one had on defense and on special teams. I hadn't played a lot on special teams before, but I think I played well there. In addition to 422 defensive snaps, Sullivan lined up for a career-high 222 snaps on special teams. It's hard to imagine the Steelers finding a better option to man the slot and play special teams for under $2 million than Sullivan. The decision the Steelers make with fellow veteran cornerback Patrick Peterson could ultimately determine whether they re-sign Sullivan. Peterson played more than 100 snaps at outside cornerback, nickel back, box safety, and free safety in 2023. However, Peterson playing all those different positions yielded mixed results. Turning 34 years old in July, he's likely best suited for a role in the slot or at safety going forward. If the Steelers elect to re-sign Levi Wallace or draft a cornerback in the first round of the 2024 NFL Draft to play opposite Joey Porter Jr., Peterson could slide into Sullivan's role in the slot. In that situation, the Steelers would probably elect to not re-sign Sullivan. However, Peterson holds a $9.775 million cap hit for 2024. Releasing him would save the Steelers $6.85 million in cap space. Those cap savings could be very appealing for a team still $4 million over the salary cap even after cutting 3 players on February 12. Without Peterson and Sullivan, Darius Rush would be the lone slot cornerback remaining on the Steelers roster. Pittsburgh doesn't have to cut Peterson to make re-signing Sullivan worthwhile. But releasing Peterson would make Sullivan a very attractive free agent to re-sign. And you fan, what do you think of the Shandon Sullivan situation? Leave your opinion in the comments.